Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Draw with T. Despite me getting a new Huion tablet, I am returning to the traditional sketch page medium, just because I find it just so much easier to sketch out my ideas and concepts on the fly in a sketchbook. No buttons and no fuss, no muss. Canvas size is already decided. It was kind of hard doing this though, with my beautiful new Huion staring at me in my face. As I was sketching in front of it. That was a weird way of saying it. But yeah, so here I am sketching concepts for Kaya once more. I did that previously, and then I realized her whole race kind of needed some concept art. So this is the follow-up to that. So, I've done some drawings of the Duhrogh, which are a fantasy race from Kalismir, the story I'm working on. If you're new here, go check out the earlier episodes to kind of catch up with how things are going, or just chill out here and watch me draw and speak gibberish. That's cool too. Whatever you want to do. Yeah, random tangent aside, here I am just drawing Kaya, and these first few drawings I took very slowly. I'd kind of done some concept work of her amongst all the other little doodles and stuff I was doing on the previous pages, so I've kind of settled already on what I want her to kind of look like, and that might change later on when I do proper concept work of her and some other characters and I make them a bit more unique. But I kind of like this idea of her having these sort of shard-like or petrified wood-like horns, but very stubby horns, and then having her ear also kind of mimic that form, so she kind of had this repeating, shape on either side of her head. Her hair is going to be the biggest point of contention for most of this, and for most of the next episode, spoilers, just because her hair looks very similar to Tristan, and that was unintentional, but unfortunately for me, where Tristan's hair started off very short, I kind of have made it a plot point that it grows out as the story goes on, which kind of makes sense. If you don't have a hairdresser and you're going on an adventure, your hair is going to grow out. But it does reach a point where it and Kaya's hair look very similar, and that's something that's probably going to have to be fixed later on, but the hairstyle kind of makes sense for Kaya. It's sort of this, downward turned look, and she's a bit more of a dour character, kind of with a darker past that she doesn't like to talk about too much. So she's a little bit rebellious, but not entirely so, and yeah, there are some similarities between her and Tristan in the story. Of note with Kaya is her left eye is got a cataract over it. It actually doesn't affect her sight in any way, shape, or form, or at least maybe it does. But I kind of feel like, being the sort of magical being, it's damaged, but just being made of sort of magic, she can still kind of see through it. I don't know, maybe in like a magic sense. I'm not entirely sure. I just kind of like the idea of her having this sort of scar, and the scar being something from the past, and that past comes back in the story. When she enters, she kind of causes trouble for our heroes, and they kind of have to help the Duhrogh and the Shio out with some issues, and part of that, Kaya's wrapped up in that. And, it's just kind of a thing. It's kind of a physical manifestation of the baggage that she carries. And I kind of wanted it that she had this scar, and she didn't like it, so she tried hiding it. However, this made me realize that I tend to draw all my hair covering the right side of characters' faces. That, or I draw hair so that it flips. So, as you see here, with this current hairstyle, Kaya's hair covers her good eye, her right eye, because she's kind of, her left side is to us, so, the hair would flip. And if she looked the other way, it would flip over and cover her scar eye, which I realized, well, if I want it to always be covering the scar eye, then I'm going to have to figure out how to draw the hair in a different way, which is not something I've ever really done in my style. I've always just kind of had that style that, did the flip hair thing. But I am kind of getting ahead of myself here. Here I just quickly check back on some earlier art of her that I made. I am kind of getting ahead of myself. That is something that I deal with a little bit later on. Here I'm kind of carefully shading in her skin tone, because in all other art that I was doing for the Duhrogh, I was basically working in reverse, making their markings and whatever dark colored and actually leaving their skin light colored. And then I realized it's probably good to stop doing that so I actually get a proper sense of how things are actually looking. Although I was pretty sure, inversing it would be fine. But with Kaya and her like weird eyes, I wanted to double check. Now, a lot of this page is kind of these little doodly things that I did, and not a lot of finished art. And I'll be fully honest, I wanted to draw this page, but I also really wanted to jump into working on my tablet, and I'd kind of sort of already solidified how I wanted Kaya to look, but I kept drawing just to see in case something else popped up, but it kind of didn't, and I was actually a bit surprised. I don't know, I guess the only thing that really caught me was the hair. I just kind of wasn't really sure what to do with that hair. So I tried pushing myself beyond this sort of downward, spiky look that I tend to do for a lot of characters. My inner repertoire of character hairstyles is woefully lacking, and in drawing Kaya, I kind of realized that it's something I need to address probably sooner than later. But having done some of those swoosh hairs in a few previous episodes, I decided to try that out with her. And I do think it's actually a very interesting look. However, I'm not sure if it quite matches Kaya's personality. She starts off very dour, I'm not sure how you say it, dour, and kind of mopey, and she's got a bit of baggage to her, and she's always been an outcast for story reasons that I could ramble off for hours about. But she's kind of that lone wolf outcast type character, so this sort of downward spiky hair kind of just matched her personality. There is something nice, though, about that sort of upturned swoosh, and I think, maybe she does have a resolution in the story, and I think that might be a good hairstyle to switch to when her problems and her woes are sort of solved within the story. So, like some of my other characters, she might actually have one or two versions, she'll have possibly three, because there's also another transformation she does, but I don't want to talk too much about that, because it's sort of spoilery, and even though the story's a long way off from being properly done, I don't want to spoil everything. But, so, maybe that we'll have a pre-solution looking Kaya and then a post-solution looking Kaya, and maybe the post-solution Kaya will have a shorter, more upturned hair to reflect her more positive outlook on things, and just kind of a, better situation overall for her. Which makes me wonder, what do you guys think of shows and stuff that have characters that, their costume or their hair actually changes over time? Because like a lot of earlier stuff I notice, even when it would make sense to have the character change, they still sport the same outfit and look. And that might just be an element of just budgeting and, the business of animation and comics and stuff, where, you pay a concept artist to make one design and that's it. You can't really afford anything more. But I'm looking around and I see a lot more shows and stuff that actually have a lot more change happening now. And it's interesting, and I actually like it. It's kind of nice to see shows now where sometimes a new character comes in, or a new situation arises, something changes, and it's not just going to be undone by the end of the episode so we can go back to the status quo. There's impact, there's story moving through genres that didn't always have that before, and I like that. And it's not necessarily something I am pushing for in Kalismir, because it would be a lot easier for me if I just, stuck to one design for each character. But, if the need arises, I'm very willing to show a change in the character. And it's also a little fun, especially like, as I've said, the villain gets more, skeletal looking and, lich-like as time goes on. And I really like that. The heroes also probably subtly change. As I said, Tristan's hair grows out as the adventure kind of goes on, which is sort of not just a physical thing, but also kind of a metaphor for her kind of growing and changing from where she starts at the start of this sort of epic story. But yeah, coming back to this, this is sort of where I realized that I really like that downturned hair for Kaya, at least at this point in the story. And is this, yeah, I believe this is the one where I'm trying to find some solution so when she turns to face left, that her hair still covers her left eye. Sorry, when she turns to her right, or left. It's confusing at this angle. I couldn't really find a good solution to do this, and part of me also didn't like it, and this is just purely out of my own vanity. I do like showing her scarred eye off, which is not what she likes to do at all, so, you know, there's me, the artist, just wanting to show off this aspect of the character that I am really amused by, and then, you know, what the character would actually do. And I just could not find a good solution to hiding that eye that didn't feel amateur and that didn't feel like something outside of my style. Like, this is probably... I don't like this drawing at all. And I don't think the me that was drawing it liked it either. But that was kind of the only way I could think of doing it, or having the hair sharply turn and just block out most of the face, which really was unappealing to me. Which, as you can probably guess, means that I didn't really find a good solution for this problem. And I kind of ultimately just decided to kind of give up on it. Spoilers. Yeah. Maybe I should stop spoiling my videos? I don't know, I don't think it really matters. It's art, it's not some kind of grand storyline or scheme really happening. And here I was, moving on to little tiny micro doodles in an attempt to try and rapidly draw, kind of her head at facing different ways, so I could try and find some kind of hair solution. And that didn't really work, and I just kind of kept drawing and drawing and drawing on a very small level and very fast level to try and find a way of making this haircut that I liked work, and then also try and find a little bit of originality with it, so I didn't look like most characters that I draw. And I just wasn't really happy with any of them, sad to say. And if I probably kept drawing or went and looked for some references, I probably could have found a solution to that, but you know, I kind of wanted to move on. Like I said, I wanted to move on to work digitally with my Huion, and also, you know, I didn't want to take time to further delay this whole process by spending several hours and several videos studying hair and then finding the hair. You know, I just want to have fun and, you know, draw. And right now I'm just not into doing hair studies, but pretty soon that might be something I actually stop and do, just because, I don't know, art comes kind of in moods and phases with me. Sometimes I want to draw my characters, and sometimes I get frustrated with mistakes that I keep making, that I want to fix them enough that I go and I do some serious studies. But right now I'm in a phase of wanting to draw my characters, just because it's felt like a little bit since I've drawn, and I'm hoping to draw a bit more of late, because it's kind of been sporadic, where it's like I draw maybe once or twice in a week, and by the time I get around to it, I feel pretty stiff. And I think this might be one more attempt at me trying to fix her hair. I can't quite remember with this little drawing, or maybe I was trying to do a sort of a mix of spiky. And I believe this one was probably... There was one that came really close to fixing the solution, and this one sort of worked, but then I realized she doesn't really have much hair on the other side, so it's just gonna look a little off like that, which, you know, maybe it could work. But I ultimately kind of decided that for at least the portrait, I would just let her old hairstyle kind of be, and just have her scarred eye revealed. More for me, because this is a drawing mainly for me. This is going to be on her character document, so if I need to open that up and quickly access any information I have there, I can do that, because, you know, there'll be a little image of her, and I'm not going to confuse her with any other character. Anyways, guys, this is basically the end of it. I'm going to do one quick little doodle more, and then that's it. So if you guys like this, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and tune in for the next episode where I take Kaya onto my Huion tablet and I draw her. It's gonna be fun. Thanks again for all your support, guys. See you in the next one.